Just like children hiding in a closet, can't tell what's going on outside. Sometimes we're so far off the beaten track, we'll get taken for a ride. By a parlor trick or some words of wit, to a hidden hand up a sleeve. To think the one you love could hurt you now is a little hard to believe, but everybody, darling, sometimes bite the hand that feeds. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, from deep in the bowels of our underground lair, where we're going back to the very beginning, Andrew. I don't think, were we even using microphones? We had like a handheld recorder.
Yeah, and I think you screwed up. You screwed up something, I think.
What did I screw up?
We didn't have the fancy recording thing we got now.
No, we didn't.
We've moved up in the world, 289 episodes, and we finally got from the VCR to the DVD player. We finally went from the 80s to the 90s.
But not Blu-ray.
Yeah. Wasn't there an HD one for a while? I worked at Best Buy at that time, and there was something.
An HD VHS?
No, DVD. There was some sort of... There was some sort of DVD, I remember, with a red label. It went the way of Beta. Yeah. That's just what I remember. Beta back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Of
course.
So I don't know what happened with Beta. I don't know why that went away.
Newsrooms used Beta. They used Beta a lot. It was a higher quality, I guess.
So was a VCR just like a tape, just a lot cheaper and easier to mass produce? Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
But when digital started to come around, that's when everything went from analog and Beta kind of went away. From that aspect, it never really caught on for home.
Yeah, well, that some things get tried and don't work, and that's just fine. I mean, I kind of miss video stores.
Yeah, I remember you used to walk in there and spend a good hour trying to figure out what you want to watch.
There was a huge Blockbuster in New Hope for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
And there was Adventures in Video here in Crystal for a long, long time.
Well, there's a Blockbuster here, too, in Crystal.
Well, I remember when I was in Robbinsdale, there was a video update that I could walk to. So this is 2000, 2001, 2002. So there's just something about the video store, the new releases.
Yeah.
Things didn't go to video all that fast back then.
Right. Sometimes it took a good year for things to get released.
And sometimes that wasn't for the best movies either.
Right.
So, I think Phantom Menace took quite a while to get to.
Yeah. It would be all right with me if that still hadn't hit video. I don't know.
Yeah, with sequels, it's up there with Rocky V. I tell you what, back to the song, Jay. Yeah. I know that song.
You do?
But I can't think of who sings it.
Really?
It's one of them grunge 90s songs.
The time frame is correct.
It's some band like Pearl Jam or Nirvana. It's one of them bands, but I'll never think of it. So
this one might actually throw you for a little bit of a loop. Right time frame, 1991. Guns N' Roses.
Really?
Off of Use Your Illusion 2, Breakdown, because we have a breakdown in Golden Valley.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that a little later.
You kind of remind me of Axl Rose a little bit there, Jay.
I do? Why is that?
I don't know. I just said that.
Okay.
Thought maybe you'd agree.
Well, I don't know. There's good and bad in that.
You're half Axl Rose, half Robert Goulet. How do you like that? Did I just date myself big time there?
Robert Goulet.
I just watched Beetlejuice, and Robert Goulet has a bit part in that.
Oh, okay.
In Beetlejuice. So I'm just thinking, and he passed away like 2010-ish, but totally dating myself.
I don't remember that. I do remember the skits on Saturday Night Live. Who played him on? Was it Phil Hartman?
I might have been. I do remember that.
Remember he was like in a convertible, and there were these animals all around, like plastic animals.
Well, remember Goulet was one of those guys whose hair never moved.
Right.
That was like Jimmy Johnson. That was like a...
Hey, dear, what are you staring at?
Yeah. He had that kind of voice, that Dr. Smooth. So, yeah. The great days of Saturday Night Live, I'll tell you, just the memories are incredible. Is that still on?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
I mean,
there's
something under that name filling that time slot.
How do you do comedy today? You can't make fun of anybody.
Well, exactly. You know,
I mean, it just go back and watch every stereotype, every silly, stupid thing you can think of was done on Saturday Night Live in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
So now, I mean, from Batman and Robin, Robin, the skits that they were kind of gay. I mean, you could never do that now.
No.
I don't know why. It's funny.
Well,
but maybe that's why. It's just,
Well, that's probably true, because
I
it's
just hate
funny,
to be
you
a
can't do
comedian
it.
today because you just can't.
It depends. I mean, you've got a certain breed of comedian that just doesn't care, and I think that they probably are they're sad to see what's happening in comedy, but I think at the same time they don't care. They don't see it as a bad time for them. Because
I guess my answer to that then is, what about the next breed? What about the people who are 18 or 20 or 22 who maybe get into comedy? And they weren't raised in an era that you and I were raised,
right?
Where nobody cared if anybody was offended, and
right.
It was, they didn't watch All in the Family. I mean,
right.
what is there going to be stand-up comedy in 20 years? The only people you can make fun of and get away with it really are white Christians.
Well,
I mean, nobody ever defends them. I mean, you can say anything you want about them.
And I don't think a lot of that's even happening. I think it's just a lot of whining.
Yeah, that's true.
Is what it is. Explaining things and not being funny. It's unless, of course, you're talking about your Dave Chappelle's, your Dave Landau's, your Bobby Slayton's, your
Bobby Slayton. I've seen. He's
Nick
hilarious.
DiPaolo's. All of those. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't. They got a cult following too, so it's kind of they don't have to care. But I don't know. Anyway. Jay, are you following this Hunter Biden stuff?
I knew about this stuff at least, a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. We all knew.
All of this stuff. Well, Glenn Beck with The Blaze actually produced a lot of these documents 2 years ago on The Blaze. So none of this is new.
It's
new that the Congress is actually doing some digging into it and uncovering this stuff.
Well, yeah, the Democrats didn't want to do anything back in 2021 or 2022.
Well, they still don't.
But now there's some oversight going on. Kevin McCarthy yesterday sent out feelers that an impeachment inquiry may be launched when Congress comes back in September.
Good.
The only thing that gives me pause about that, and look, I think the truth is 100 times worse than anything that we've been told so far.
Yeah.
It's always, again, truth is the best disinfectant.
Yes.
And I think the situation is much worse than we've been told, much worse than we've been led on. Nobody in the corporate media has any, they're covering this now because they have to. But mostly it's from from a condescending, stupid kind of garbage.
They're just calling the people on the right conspiracy theorists still, even though there's hard evidence.
Right, it's bank records. But I mean, here's the thing. A conspiracy theorist to me is nothing more than somebody who won't take the media or government's garbage.
Yeah, that's what it's
and
become.
Usually they're the biggest liars of all. So, I don't know that's... that's a way to marginalize somebody, try to shut them up. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, the fact that there may not be, Republicans seem divided on how to move forward with this.
Yeah.
That tells me there's political calculations going on.
Probably.
That there's, if the polls show blah, 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 and it's kind of like, oh no. We're back to that again.
Yeah.
Republicans win an election or get the majority, and now they're afraid to go with their convictions, and they know there's more to on. And then look, there's exceptions to this. I mean, Darrell Issa went on TV the other day and said, "No, there's the votes here for an inquiry to start." And I don't think he ranks pretty high. I don't think he'd say that if it wasn't true, but. Republicans have no plan for how to spin this in the media. They have no plan for, they're going to get outfoxed again.
Yeah.
This is back to the 90s.
Right.
Where, it just, and I just go, yeah, no, we're back to this. Why don't we just talk about school lunch cuts then? I mean, just go back to everything that didn't work. So part of me thinks we'll never get the truth here.
Yeah.
And I think we deserve it. If we're going to be in a nuclear war in a country that where there's a revolution that we fomented, where
absolutely
the Bidens clearly have financial interests, and how deep that goes, we still don't know.
Right.
It's racketeering, it's bribery, it's a whole bunch of felonies.
Yeah, well, we know that for sure.
Concerned.
Well, you don't. It doesn't have to be as far as you're concerned. I mean, as far as the law is concerned, it is. Joe Biden, when he was vice president, threatened to withhold money from Ukraine unless Viktor Shokin was fired.
Right.
That happened, and so you tell me. Where is that?
Yeah, he said it as a joke too, and it was actually very serious what he threatened to do.
Joke.
It was similar to what they accused President Trump of doing.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm not just gonna give you a blank check unless you figure out what's going on over here.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
which, by the way, you're not entitled to our money and our weapons. By the way,
right? Exactly.
I don't know. I just think, part of me is just, God, just beat the guy in a frickin' year and get your act together, and we'll never hear the name Joe Biden again. But part of me is like, look, we are funding a war in our name with a blank check, and I don't think we'd be doing this if Joe Biden weren't president.
Right.
If President Trump got reelected, I don't think this would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel strongly about it. That I think war was something Trump did not want over there. And I think Biden, I don't want to say instigated this, but I don't think he did anything to help the peace process here.
I don't know. I think he's pushing it along just fine.
I don't get it.
I mean, he just sent, 3,000 troops over there?
Well, and how about...
You don't do that unless you're planning for war.
And how about the supposed news that he told the Ukrainians not to negotiate before the war started?
Yeah.
Well, you don't negotiate. I mean, you get the consequences of what happens to that. Now, look.
Yeah.
Putin's a horrible person.
Absolutely.
I hope he finds his way to the end of a rope. Okay, I'm not excusing or supporting Russia in any way. What I'm saying is that our actions have had consequences, and we're not willing to fess up to it.
Right.
So, but I think this, part of me doesn't want to see this happen, though, Jay. Am I a softie now that I just don't want to see the country go through this crap?
No, I think we're all tired of it. I think we're weary because...
I'm weary because the Dems are not going to cooperate with this.
No.
They're going to stonewall this. They're going to use their allies in the media to do what they did under Clinton. And we'll get to the truth sometime in the year 2071. Maybe by then we'll know who killed President Kennedy. And, part of me just, if the politicians pretended to be honest,
yeah,
and they really cared about the truth. I mean, I think my only hope is that the news, and I hate saying that this is my hope, because it really isn't. I don't hope that the situation is worse, but I suspect it is.
Yeah. That
either public opinion changes or somebody like Robert Kennedy continues to do better. Yeah. And forces Ukraine to be an issue within the party, which it hasn't been.
No, it hasn't been.
I mean, Dems just are in lockstep of supporting a blank check to Ukraine with a very small handful of exceptions.
Do you remember when warmonger was supposed to be a slam used against Republicans from the left?
Oh, it was a warmonger. I mean, what Democrat in the 60s or 70s would have supported a blank check for a war? I mean, we're as close to a nuclear war as we were in the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, but I will say this, though. I mean, you take a look at history, and, okay, let's go back to Vietnam. who was president when we got into that war?
Well, largely President Johnson. Yeah.
Right. And then you go back to Korea, who was president,
President Truman.
also a Democrat.
Yeah.
You go back to World War II, who was president.
FDR.
FDR, a
World War
Democrat.
I.
You go to World War I, who was president.
Wilson.
Democrat. You go back to
What are you going to do? Go back to the war on Tripoli?
I'm painting a picture.
Spanish-American
here.
War was McKinley.
It was McKinley. Yes, that was, one of the outliers, as well as like with Desert Storm. You go back to the Civil War. Obviously, you had Republican on one side and Democrat on the other.
That's true.
That one, but the Democrats really forced the hand of the Republicans.
Pretty much.
I'm just saying.
Aside from that, though,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just shocked at the fact that no one is concerned. No one's concerned. A handful of Republicans in the House and maybe 10 senators have raised any objections to the blank check that we're sending to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Now, look, I feel horrible for the Ukrainian people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care for their government very much.
No.
And I think this war is wrong on a million different levels. But, how long are we going to do this for?
Right.
And not sit down and negotiate something, or, how long are we going to? We're bringing Russia and China closer together, which is exactly the opposite of what our geopolitical strategy should be.
Absolutely.
I don't know where this ends, or does it end? Is this something that goes on for decades?
I think it depends. I mean, if
Is this going to be an Israeli-Palestinian thing?
If people are morons and they actually vote for Joe Biden again in the next election, which I'm not even saying he's going to be in the race by the
you
end
still
of this
don't
thing.
think you will. Peter.
I don't know. We'll see. If he is elected again and people really are that stupid, then this will continue to go on. I don't know. I'm interested. President Trump says he can end it in a day. I think that's hyperbole a little bit, but
give him a week or two.
He
but
does
he
believe
could.
that within 24 hours he can end the war in Russia and Ukraine.
Well, I think President Trump would bring them to the table at least,
absolutely
whether
he would.
an agreement comes through or not. That's really not up to him. I mean, ultimately, he has to let the Ukrainians negotiate themselves, and not try to stew it. Maybe something could be worked out. I don't know. I just think I think people aren't realizing how close we are to the world just erupting, and a nuclear war can annihilate the planet.
Yep.
So I don't know. But does this impeachment stuff go anywhere? I mean, I think it should.
It should, but even if you impeach him in the House, to get him removed in the Senate with as corrupt as they are.
No, the only way it can happen.
You're not gonna have that.
I mean, you have to have Democratic support. I mean, and
you could have a photo of President Biden stabbing somebody in the chest, and they would still.
Well, right. I mean, I've said that before, and I'll say it again. If Anthony Fauci were cooking a virus on his stove, 30% of the country wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Or more. I mean, so it's hard. I mean, I think that the only thing, and I go back to something Jim Clyburn, the Democrat from South Carolina, said in 2019. Yeah. I'll never forget what he said. And he really had to find it to hear. The only reason I heard it was because Tucker Carlson and a few other people put it out there. He said, we have to go impeach Trump or he's going to get reelected. And he literally said that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. There's not many positives to this politically, but there's an obligation to get to the truth, whatever the truth is. And my guess is we'll never get there.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see.
The funny part about it is, I just want one more thing about Hunter Biden.
Yes.
Why is there no outrage at him among Democrats? I mean, think about it. He pled guilty to tax evasion.
Yep.
Remember, Democrats, I mean, pay your fair share.
Right.
And he also pled guilty to a gun charge. Well, where's the
Democrats again?
Where's the outrage at that?
Yeah.
I mean, the president who talks about this is a president who talks about everybody paying their fair share. Nobody should have any guns.
Yeah.
And yet his own son is convicted on or pleads guilty. I mean,
Right.
he didn't get tried. He pled guilty to a gun charge at the time.
We need universal background checks, but he lied on his
Yeah, doesn't that show they don't work?
Yeah.
Speaking of things that don't work, Jay,
Yes.
we're not that far from Golden Valley right now.
No, there's
are we?
5 people there that don't work.
Huh?
Or,
Oh, yeah. For sure.
yes.
That city's a mess.
Yes, it is.
Can we call that city a mess?
Yes. Like our opening song said, there is a breakdown.
Yeah, and you know, I was going to start with their police department
Yeah.
issues, and I'm gonna change my mind kind of on the fly, Jay.
That's fine.
Golden Valley has this this kind of I don't know how would I put this? They have like a diversity plan or a welcoming plan or a equity and inclusion stuff
Yeah.
for damn near everything.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Everything from celebrating Juneteenth. They have a diversity, equity, inclusion commission. They have a welcoming statement that's like a paragraph long. They have a reimagining police, I don't even know what you'd call it. But they have a city equity plan, which is 17 pages long.
Oh,
I don't know who did this. Jay, I'm texting it to you now. In late 2016, they joined GARE, the Government Alliance on Race and Equity program. And that, yeah, I did a little Bill Clinton there. And that began this equity plan. Their equity plan has 4 key pillars, Jay.
Yes, it does.
Now you tell me how you're going to, what any of this means. Economic prosperity for all.
That means higher taxes and taking money from those that make money and giving it to those that don't have any. Equal misery, I believe they call that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not possible for everybody to have economic prosperity. We're not all robots here.
No, you're going to have lazy people. You're going to have people that just can't. They're undereducated. They're
they work harder than
disabled.
Others.
It's you're never going to have that unless you have communism.
Okay, I mean, this is part of it, though. I mean, you think they're not serious about this. Economic prosperity for all. City of Golden Valley Equity Plan. Listen to what they put on number 5.
Okay.
Require race and gender equity questions in contractor questionnaires for all proposals, bids, and quotes. Now, stop and think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Their welcoming statement, which I didn't read, but you could find it on their website, goldenvalleymn.gov, talks about how they do things with no regard to race, gender, origin, and all that.
They only want to know what it is.
Yeah.
It is simultaneously the least and the most important thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't have it both ways. Either you do not do that,
yeah,
or you do. City and staff analyze pre-employment screening criteria to include tests for bias and adverse impacts resulting in changing vendors with more favorable outcomes.
Yeah.
Explain that. The hell is that?
Read that once again.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
City staff in fire, police, public works, and human resources develop recruitment tools. Blah, 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 blah. Staff collaborated to analyze pre-employment screening criteria, including tests for bias and adverse impacts, resulting in changing vendors with more favorable outcomes.
That's ESG is what that is.
Is it?
It is, yes. So before you can work in Golden Valley, you're going to be screened. And in that screening, we're going to look at your social media. We're going to look at where you invest. We're going to look at anything that we can get our grubby little hands on. And if we get a sense that you are involved in anything that we deem as racist, as not being inclusive, then you don't get the work. And maybe in a search, they find out, oh, you did some volunteering for the Republican Party. Too bad. Oh, we did a search and we noticed that you donated $2,500 to the Robbinsdale Women's Center, which does screening and tries to get women to keep their babies instead of going and getting them aborted. Too bad. Because you're not inclusive enough. That's what that means. That is completely what we have been talking about on this show for a long time, where it may or may not involve an actual ESG score. It might. They might be able to get their hands on something like that, but for them to be able to create their own, or just a favorability index based on the things that somebody is involved in or not involved in.
Okay. I want to read one more statement, then I want to get into their actual plan here.
Okay.
An infrastructure that supports and advances diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does that mean? I mean, stop at your infrastructure. Yeah. Again, infrastructure to me is roads, parks, your utilities. Isn't that infrastructure?
Read the statement one more time. It is, but they could be. Are they talking about a business infrastructure?
Hang on.
Okay.
An infrastructure that supports and advances diversity, equity, and inclusion.
So they're talking about a contractor here, right, that is applying to do business with the city?
I think so.
So the infrastructure of the organization needs to be pushing people up into leadership that are gay, lesbian, transgender, black, indigenous, or other people of color. That's what we're talking about. The infrastructure of your organization needs to be made up of a diverse organization. You can't have 5 white guys. It's just not acceptable in Golden Valley.
Well, then they have all these action plans on the equity.
Well,
Task force recommends that city diversify employee recruiting by updating recruitment collateral to emphasize a commitment for inclusivity and review and adjust recruiting practices. Now, the reason I bring this up, okay, and I'm still reading a little bit of it because it's kind of lawyer speak. There's a lot of, you see things like, well, we have a welcoming statement of we care about everybody in our city and we welcome everybody. And you say, okay, well, how can you be against that?
Right.
But the reason is because we all know the political charges behind words like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so the equity, I just want to say something too. The equity plan, they have a timeline of what they have done with a glossary. I think they took a page out of our book. They also have the very last page has like a cartoon of equity, equality, justice. Very, very strange little cartoon there at the end.
Yes.
But they have a glossary: systemic racism, inclusion. Notice how they say justice, not social justice.
Right.
Diversity, culturally relevant, BIPOC, bias, of course, and it's always white people who are biased. They're
right.
always bad. In this whole thing, they're serious about implementing it, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
This is not just talk like you might think it is, and in other cities they may just put this out there, but they have a welcoming statement, Jay, and I want to just say that this welcoming statement is not a one sentence. It's not hey, welcome to Golden Valley, we're blah blah blah. They have a statement.
Yeah.
Basically, it's 5 sentences. A city of Golden Valley believes in and stands for the values of social equity, inclusion, and justice. We embrace diversity and recognize the rights of individuals to live their lives with dignity, free of discrimination, fear of violence, and hate. And blah, blah, blah. There's 3 other. We strive to provide fair and unbiased services and programs, giving opportunity for all. What's a biased program? What's a biased program from a city?
I don't know.
You're there to put out fires, have police, parks, roads. What is this? Isn't that what a city's supposed to do?
That's what it's supposed to do.
So what's this bias crap?
Apparently, these people all need to have part-time jobs because they're not busy enough. They need to come up with things like this.
Well, so much of this is just corporate speak. I
Yeah.
mean, strategic and development redeveloping, focus redevelopment on 4 planning districts, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just kind of, you look at it and kind of hem and haw at it. But then you look at, building a equitable Golden Valley, and they have got, this is a group. I don't know if this is, discussion panelists feature a mix of city staff, council members, commissioners, community members, and special guests. And they have been doing this for years now with these meetings. I'm not sure what happens at them. They also have a land acknowledgement statement.
Yes.
The city's land acknowledgement statement recognized that the history of our city started before any settlers came to live here. What was called Golden Valley back then? I was wondering. The decimation and trauma of the Native American civilization experienced with the arrival of Europeans that settled America, and the need to uplift cultural differences within the community. So they're basically saying that we stole the land.
Then give it back. Give it back, Golden Valley. If you're going to put your money where your mouth is, you're going to shoot your mouth off, give it back. Make a declaration and give the land back.
Yeah.
Acknowledge your evil.
Shep Harris ain't going to sell his house to Sitting Bull. I just got a feeling. Right? I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, probably not.
But I mean, this stuff is crazy. I mean, where in Golden Valley City Charter does it say that this is the job of the city government? I mean, they spend all of their time doing this crap,
Yeah.
and they spend no time doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is city services.
Mm-hmm.
The basic things that are laid out in a city charter: police, fire, parks, roads, infrastructure, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not to stand there and try to change our minds politically.
Well, Everything's been politicized.
It's beyond that. It's even leads us right into what's going on with the police department.
Yeah.
Because they are radically understaffed there. And Golden Valley has had and I actually think we don't quite know the truth on this. There's large increases of crime in Golden Valley. The carjackings that have gone on there,
Yeah.
I think we're not being told the truth.
Oh, absolutely not. There are so many carjackings in Golden Valley.
I don't trust any media outlet to report the truth.
Yeah.
With their lack of police officers, they couldn't possibly respond to them all anyway.
Right.
That's just the way it is there, and they are budgeted for 31 police officers. Currently have 14.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way the city can survive. And I hold this city council and these diversity stuff as part of the reason. I mean, they went through, a tremendous upheaval in their police departments over the last few years. They started some internal investigation, Jay, and I don't know why. I don't know why this happened. This conduct or this culture or something like that. But I go back to 2022, March of 2022. I'm getting this from carol11.com, so you can go there and read it yourself.
Yeah.
Investigation into the allegations of a toxic workplace culture and unauthorized distribution of public information in the Golden Valley Police Department resulted in one officer being fired for a data breach and misconduct, according to a new report released by the city. Well, I hate saying this, Jay, and I am not going to defend the police here. I'm not. I'm neither a police apologist nor am I a police hater. Okay, and I know you fall similar to me there.
I do, yes.
But if you launch an investigation and you hire an outside firm,
Yeah.
it's kind of like hiring a special counsel. They're
Right.
not going to come back empty-handed. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. They're not going to come back and go, "Yep, nothing's wrong. I'll send you the bill."
Right.
They're going to find something. They're going to find an Oliver North. They're going to find a Roger Stone. They're going to find somebody like this.
Right.
And make them, I don't know if you want to call them the fall guy. Now, look, I don't know what happened here, but there seems where this toxic workplace culture stuff came from, I think has been sort of questionable about where that began. Some officers supposedly were resistant to their cultural training. Well, you know what? I would be too.
Yeah, so would I.
What's the Golden Valley City Council know about being a police officer? Shep Harris, think he could last 10 minutes as a police officer?
No.
So what does he know about what they face? Again, I'm not excusing anybody here. If there was misconduct, if somebody really did act in a racist way, if there were false arrests or, there needs to be accountability there. But
Absolutely.
But the idea, the investigation, there was an officer, her name was Kristen Hofling. Investigators considered allegations against 8 current and former officers. One person was allegedly fired for her alleged role in a data breach. But that's not what they say about her.
Huh.
They say that she made statements, racially biased and insensitive statements, in violation of the department's professional conduct policy and the city's respectful workplace policy. These comments were made during a recorded staff meeting in 2021. So I don't know if she was recorded and knew she was recorded. I'm not really sure. But what's the data breach if she made comments that they don't like at a staff meeting?
Right. Well, it does say that she secretly recorded multiple internal city meetings, which tells me these weren't open meetings. But aren't most meetings supposed to be open? I'd like to know which meetings they were.
Yeah, it doesn't say, of course. The investigation was necessary to bring clarity to the allegations of misconduct. Allegations from who? And better understand the systemic issues that harm community trust in policing. Well, you're adding to it, by the way, I'd say Golden Valley.
Yeah. Well, I'd say anywhere where you have a diversity coordinator, it's their job to look for stuff like this and stir up trouble. I mean, that's what they do. That's why they're hired. To create a problem where there wasn't one before so that you can earn a paycheck. Right?
Well, there's a lot of that goes on.
I mean, are there racist police? Yep, absolutely.
Right,
And some of them are white and some of them are black.
Well, but it's
Yes.
also kind of like the people who run around claiming everything is racist. They don't want the problem solved.
No.
If the problem's solved, then they can't run around and claim that everything is racist.
Right.
I mean, do you? Yeah, I always used to pick on Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson,
Right.
but it's like, do you really think they want no racism? Now, in their heart of hearts, they may
Right.
want that, but if there's no racism, well, I don't need Al Sharpton with his bullhorn at a protest anywhere. And if these people can't find racism, they'll invent it.
Yeah.
This seems like an investigation in search of an issue,
Right.
not a issue with an It's kind of like it's like I said, it's like an independent counsel. They're there to search for a crime.
Right.
So I don't know, but the mayor is getting in a little trouble over this. By the way,
Yeah.
coincidentally, not running for re-election.
Really?
Jake the Snake is not running either, by the way, in
Wow.
St. Louis Park. So you don't have him to make fun of. Fox 9 also has a story. This is from last December. Back in March 2022, Shep Harris called the chief hiring process into question, saying he thought the search process was negatively impacted by a group of people within the department. Well, Mr. Harris, when you target the police department, when you target them as being too white, racist, systemically racist, you're going to get some resistance.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Look. Here's the thing, and the funny thing is that they would not comment in these articles. Harris has reached for a comment several times and wouldn't comment on it, which makes little sense. But the mayor is now being sued by the former officer who let me set the stage for this, Jay.
Okay.
Because the former police chief, who was the interim chief, I can't remember his name. The current chief is a guy named Virgil Green, and he was hired a year or two ago.
Okay.
But they had an interim police chief who wanted the job. His name was Scott Nadeau.
Okay. Related to Danny.
I don't know about that.
Yes.
But the retirement of Chief Jason Sturgis in 2021, Golden Valley hired Nadeau, who had been the former police chief of Columbia Heights and Maplewood. Nadeau was going to retire. He took it or was considering retirement, but he took it as, and I guess apparently he must have liked the job because he wanted the job permanently. The Duke claims he was the top applicant for the job, but he was passed over because the city preferred to hire a black guy. Golden Valley began its search right after the former chief retired in 2021. 47 people applied for it. The three finalists were some guy named John Franklin, Nadeau, and Virgil Green. Later, Green, who was black, and Nadeau, who was white, were the finalists. Here's where it gets dicey. Harris, at the March 1st, 2022 Golden Valley Council meeting, said, quote, "What I have come to realize is some ugly truth. I believe this search process has been negatively influenced by a group of people within the police department. It has affected the department and created a toxic culture of hostility, intimidation, paternalism," what?
Really?
"and unfortunately racism." Now that is a pretty damning statement.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you make a statement like that?
I'd like to see their evidence. I mean, it's anybody can throw out claims like that. What are you basing it on?
Well, I guess
I think I have a right to know.
My question is first, Harris then endorsed Green as the next police chief. And is it okay that he influences it like that? So basically, this is what I'm taking Harris's statement to mean. He wanted a black police chief. The people there, the officers there, maybe made it known that they liked the guy who was there now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not acceptable.
Right.
That's bias. That's racist. You're not allowed to have that opinion.
Right.
So he later attempted to apologize. I don't know that
Harris did.
he tried to. The lawsuit claims Harris and who's this Smith person? I don't know who this Jesse Smith person is, but basically wanted to have a black chief. I don't know if this Jesse Smith person is from the Golden Valley Police Employment Accountability Community Engagement Coalition, but apparently Smith asked residents to lobby for black finalists and find negative information about Nadeau. He made a series of statements encouraging the city to engage in race-based hiring. Let's see. So the city manager and this, yes, Jesse Smith is a former member of the Golden Valley Police Employment Accountability Community Engagement Coalition. City manager Tim Cruikshank are defendants in this lawsuit.
Okay.
So go figure there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But, this is the danger of this race-based hiring. I mean, why don't you just put a sign up that says, whites not apply?
Yeah. Well, and I'd like to know how this shakes out. I know the recent Supreme Court case dealt with affirmative action as far as who you let into a university. But I would like to see, and maybe it will take another case to show whether it's constitutional in the workplace or not.
Well, if it's unconstitutional in colleges,
Yeah,
why would it be constitutional in the workplace?
exactly.
Well, and again, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, what do you think about college applications? Do you think race should be a
Absolutely not.
consideration? Do you think it should be any kind of a factor whatsoever?
I have a few thoughts about this. First is that nobody should go to a college anymore.
Ha 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 ha.
Other than, I guess, if you're going to be a doctor or something like that. Secondly,
Well, now some careers simply require it. There's no way to get around it.
right. So bare minimum, though. If you don't have to go to college, don't. Secondly, Yes, it is wrong to change your admission policies to cater to a certain group of people based on their skin color, sexual preference, whatever. It should be completely based on merit. How did you do in school?
No.
That's it.
Do you accept the argument that at one time in this country, black people needed, or there had to be some sort of, I don't know what the right word is, but blacks needed more opportunity to get into school? That it was, we had a lot of white schools and black schools at one time. In order for desegregation to really, really happen fairly, there needed to be black students, and more blacks needed, and for more blacks to succeed, they needed more opportunity to get into college. I mean, is that a legitimate argument, or is that an illegitimate argument? I'm not saying in 2023.
Right.
I'm saying if this is 1965 and we just eliminated the poll tax,
Yeah.
is there an argument to be made that at one time those policies were needed, or they were there, and we should make changes now? If we want a colorblind society, color shouldn't be a factor in that. I mean, how do you am I wrong there in saying that?
No, you're not wrong in saying that. Was there ever a period? Yeah, I suppose so. When there were evils that were done, you've got to reverse those. But I think we're long past that. I mean, we don't live in a society where somebody doesn't get in because of their skin color to a certain school.
I've never lived in that society as far as I'm concerned.
No, and there is a lot of, I don't know how to fix it, but a lot of just devaluing education. Now, these days, I'm kind of devaluing education, right? At least the education the public schools are giving us. But, back then, when things were still okay in the public schools, for the most part, it was kind of seen. And I think to a degree, I think those kind of comments have been made again about, if you do well in school, it's a white thing. Well, it shouldn't ever have been a white thing, and it's only because blacks were lied to by Democrats. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you need government to help you. You're not good enough on your own. You're not talented enough on your own. You can't learn this stuff. This is for white people. You're gonna never succeed. You're playing a shell game that is weighed in their favor, and you're never gonna make it. So you need us.
Well, I add too. How about like athletic football scholarships? Isn't it mostly black people who get a lot of those?
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to apply the same standards? Okay, it's 10% of the population is blacks. Only 10% get college football scholarships. How far do you want to take that?
Right.
I mean, I'm being facetious when I say that, but at what point do we make it merit-based? I'm all for opportunity, but opportunity is something you create by yourself. It's not something that is given to you necessarily.
Right.
You got to knock doors down. There was a time in this country blacks didn't get equal opportunity. Women didn't get equal opportunity.
Right.
It is the truth, and we have to acknowledge that. But I think we've come so far in because, like, let me bring up another issue that I think some people would think is irrelevant, but I don't think it is. Take something like equal pay.
Yeah.
Do blacks in the same job deserve equal pay as whites? Do women deserve equal pay as men? Yes.
Yes, for the same work. Yes.
And the same qualifications
merit-based
and the same
work,
education, everything being the same. I question that a little bit though, because how do you pass a law? This is why I'm against things like the ERA.
Right.
And I don't mean earned run average.
Right.
But how do you pass how do you enforce something like that. To me, the best way is to continue opening opportunity.
Right.
That's the best way to do this. And
yeah, you can't force it. You can make laws that, like, you can't use.
You can make laws generally speaking about it, but you can't to a specific case.
You can't force a company to structure their compensation in a certain way.
Well, yeah, and also remember, people are paid based on their education, their experience.
Right.
That may not be equal between two applicants.
Right.
Here's my question. Black Virgil Green gets the job in Golden Valley. Is he offered 75 or 80% of what a white guy would be offered?
I don't know.
I'd like to know, Golden Valley. I mean, did you
Yeah.
publish what you were going to pay them? I'm kind of curious. See if they're living up to their own standards.
Well,
I don't know. But just what a mess this city. And I mean, keep in mind, they've got, their own elections coming up. That open process is almost beginning. The filing is very, very soon. I
absolutely
believe it's next week or later this week or something.
Goodness.
So the Golden Valley elections are coming up, and whoever gets elected is going to have to deal with whatever this is. Now there's this lady running named Rosalind Harmon.
Yeah.
And also your girlfriend, Jillian Rosenquist, has announced plans to run as well.
Yeah.
I don't know who's there's rumors out there that it started today, July 25th.
Oh, okay.
And she has a website, ROSLYN, 4 GV.com.
Okay.
And on there, well, I mean, you see a lot of the, I don't know if I want to call it, I don't know what to make of this. I haven't really studied her page, but you see a lot of the community engagement stuff, the typical things you'd see on a page or not. And of course, we got your girlfriend, Jay, Julian Rosenquist, joining the race as well, which is funny. I didn't see that on her Twitter page. And she's pretty active on that.
Yeah.
From leading the Municipal Facilities Task Force, boy, they lined up for that, in the formation of the Peace Commission, I know Golden Valley's needs, and it'll help shape visionary plans for the future. Oh, boy. We're waiting for that. Now, I just wonder this, though. How much do you think her and Harris like each other?
Probably not a whole lot.
You don't think? I think there's a tenseness on that council that's personal, not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know who's I wonder who the choice is of Mr. Harris to succeed him.
I don't know. It's funny, this Rosalind Harmon, she's running for Golden Valley mayor, but she's really involved in St. Paul.
Really? Do tell, Jay.
She's currently serving as the executive director of the Dispute Resolution Center in the historic Rondo community of St. Paul, Minnesota. Right.
You know all about the Rondo community.
We sure do. So I wonder if she's trying to get rid of I-94 as well, because that's part of that whole thing in the Rondo community.
Well, let me share one other thing too, that you tell me if this isn't collective BS. Quote, this is what she said in the Sun Post. Quote, I value harmony, collective opinion, authenticity, and respect for all. I believe it is critical that we have a diverse range of voices and perspectives guiding in the decision-making process. Now, that's copied right from somebody's corporate talking points.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. Yeah. She collaborates, your favorite word, closely with partners such as Ramsey County and the City of St. Paul to deliver restorative services. These services include diversion cases, mediation services, youth programming, restorative practice, and justice trainings, and community healing circles of support. That sounds like a Native American thing. Healing circles? I don't know. Through her work at the DRC, is that the Republic of Congo? I don't think so. It's the Dispute Resolution Center. She has been instrumental in probably playing trumpet. She has been instrumental in repairing harm for adults and juveniles, emphasizing the importance of restorative practices in addressing conflicts, redesigning public policy, that's a danger, and procedures with restorative framework, and fostering stronger relationships within the community. Restorative means taking from people who you feel wrongly have received and giving it back to people that, I mean, we're talking, this whole reparations movement is restorative justice. Now, it doesn't say reparations in here, but that is part of restorative justice.
Well, I should mention, too, that the Golden Valley Peace Commission, Police Employment Accountability Community Engagement, she was the vice chair there. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Communication Studies. Boy, there's a ticket to a job making $25,000.
Yeah.
I'm being half facetious, but not really. Well, it sounds like a lot of gobbledygook to me. I mean, just there's nothing really on her site.
She did contribute to the development of Golden Valley's first equity plan.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. What is this? Sweet Potato Comfort Pie Initiative. Founding member and board member. It's a nonprofit organization that plays a significant role in the Golden Valley community by hosting its annual Martin Luther King event. So,
I just want to see if Shep's endorsing anybody.
yeah, well, she says she works side by side with old Shep on the first plan there.
Well, apparently, when you go July 2nd, 2023, the Sun Post reporting that, let me see. Shep Harris, Golden Valley's mayor for the past 12 years, announced March 21st that he was not running for mayor again. Introduced as hopefully our future mayor, Rosalind Harmon.
Yeah.
So we know who he does support.
Yes. Here's the question. If she wins, are there any men left on the Golden Valley Council, or is it going to all be women?
I think there's a guy on the Golden Valley Council.
Is there?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we're looking for diversity.
Well, men don't count.
Oh, they don't count toward diversity. Only having women counts toward the diversity.
Unless the guy is gay, then that's okay, too.
Yeah, well, that's on the intersectionality matrix, so I guess so. Or a woman that says she's a man, that counts as a man, too, I guess.
Think so. Where the hell is the dang council here? Their website's not the most user-friendly.
No.
I want to say there's a guy... I want to say there's a black guy on the council. Is that inappropriate for me to say?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know this week. It could be. It wasn't bad last week, but it might be this week.
I think it's bad no matter what. I think it's just bad, period.
Yeah. I can't keep track anymore. I think that's on purpose.
Doesn't show the dang members. I mean, come on. What kind of...
On their website? Oh, it has to.
Well, you find it. I don't frickin' see it.
Fine. Don't send a boy to do man's work.
That's not. Not there. I don't see it.
Oh, it's there. City Council, Golden Valley, Minnesota.
Well, City Council's there, but where are they?
Wait. What? That's who I was asking about. What are you looking for?
The City Council members.
Yeah. Okay. Contact any one of them. There we go. So it's not a great link. Like you said, it's a terrible website. You have to click on the link that says contact any one of them, and then it leads you to a page for any one of them.
I don't see that.
I found it. Yeah, so Shep Harris.
Oh, there they are.
Sophia Guinness, Maurice Harris, Denise Lemaire
Who the hell
Anderson,
is
and
Sophia
Jillian
Guinness?
Rosenquist. I don't know.
She's the appointed one.
Yes.
Because there was the gay one that resigned or moved or something.
Yeah.
Her whole campaign was all about how she was marrying a girlfriend or something.
Something like that. Oh, goodness.
Oh, they're stuck with that hyphenated name lady, too, for another 4 years.
No, 2025.
Oh, 2 years, I mean.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
you know, they wouldn't have put this Sophia Guinness on there unless she agreed with them. That's the great thing about appointing somebody. You can just appoint whoever you agree with.
Right. People don't have to choose who they want. Although in Golden Valley, they would have chose her anyways, I'm sure, because...
They would have done, what do you call it? Election in February or something.
Right.
That would have...
But you know how Golden Valley politics goes. It's like, thank you, sir. May I have another?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, when are people in Golden Valley going to have enough?
Yeah.
When are they going to have enough of this? I mean, it's a disaster. You look at other police departments. I mean, some of them are a little understaffed.
Yeah.
By a handful of officers, but you don't have the problems that they have there. In fact, there's a story out that District 281 wants to bring police back into the district, which I thought police were racist and killed George Floyd, and we don't want them anymore.
Right. Until you got kids that are so unruly that you can't.
You got problems then. Who do you call?
Well, if the district would put any money at all into security.
Well, this is again from Channel 11 a couple of weeks ago. Golden Valley Police may have to place a school resource officer back into Robbinsdale area schools this. Holy cow, did I have a misstep there?
Yeah.
After 2 years without an SRO program. The city council invited district a school resource officer would work at Sandburg and Highview, the two schools housed in the same building within the city limits of Golden Valley. The district received attention for high-profile incidents involving school safety, including felony charges against Sandburg students for bringing a gun last year, according to the proposed contract. But, I mean, they don't have any officers. What are they going to do? They don't have nobody.
Yeah, you can't send it someone if you don't got them.
So, I mean, a resource officer? The hell's that going to do?
Yeah, nothing.
You know, let me ask you something, Jay. I mean, you're the one with kids here. What do you think schools should do with their issues like that? I mean, schools aren't free, by the way, to necessarily do anything they want to. You know, the state in Minnesota has made them gun-free zones.
Yeah.
So they're not exactly free to do anything. What would you do to change the security and you know, change that culture that's in these schools?
Oh, where do you even start? let's just say I've heard some stories. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I'm not at liberty to. I have a source within the district, and it's bad.
Nice.
It is bad.
Love
Kids
it.
are allowed to do whatever they want. They can mouth off to teachers. They can cuss at them. They can just go about doing whatever it is they want to do. They congregate in bathrooms. And if they do get in trouble, the parents show up and they're just as bad. The parents get into fights among each other when they show up to pick up their kids.
Well, of course, their kid's perfect. It's always another kid's fault.
Yeah, well, I think it's the parents' fault in most cases.
They're part of it, sure.
I just, and we covered this already. I mean, this isn't anything that people don't know because it's been out in the media that, the high schools don't have their security systems working. Armstrong, the red lockdown button has been inoperable for I don't know how long.
You're kidding.
No, and the district doesn't have the funds to fix it, they say.
Of course they don't.
Yeah.
They're going to need a referendum now.
Right. And it's bad,
Huh.
And DEI has a lot to do with hiring choices.
What's
and,
DEI?
Diversity.
Right. Equity and inclusion.
Equity and inclusion. So has a lot to do with who they're getting. And
I think the suspension policies
terrible.
Have another thing to do with
and
it.
Some of that's coming from the State Board of Education.
True. That's why I'm saying they're not 100% in control of what they're doing. They could fight it.
Yeah, they
should be challenged in court.
Yeah.
The School Boards Association
Yeah.
should take a position on that. They've been largely because they won't challenge the Democrats.
Right.
I want to mention something. Channel 5, this was back about a month ago. Listen to what the current police chief says in Golden Valley.
Yeah.
You're dealing with, he claims race has something to do with some of the officers leaving. When you're dealing with a city that's 89% white, you're dealing with a police department that's almost 100% white. To me, as a black man, I have to say, I wonder why.
What?
I don't know. There's a guy, Jim Mortensen, the executive director of Law Enforcement Labor Services, disagrees, says it's failed leadership, not race. They brought their police department to its knees, the brink of implosion. The reputation in the law enforcement community is terrible, which affects their hiring good, qualified candidates. Contrary to what Golden Valley says also, 28 officers in the last 3 years have left the department.
Wow.
And the other cities around them don't seem to have these issues. New Hope is short one police officer. Plymouth is authorized for 82. They employ 73. Brooklyn Park is budgeted for 107. They employ 98. So they're not quite at full staff, but they're pretty close.
Yeah.
So they're not quite having all that, all those, not quite having the problems everybody else is having. So, or they're not. Other people aren't having the problems they are. So
Right.
This is a police department that, I mean, I just wonder, and I'm just spitballing here, this whole defund the police, is that what this is sort of about? Destroying a department's reputation. Minneapolis is still hundreds of officers short.
Oh, yeah.
Is it all about just destroying them to the point where nobody will go there?
Well, that's certainly a possibility.
Would you teach at Robbinsdale area schools?
No.
Would you be an officer in Golden Valley?
No.
Not a chance.
No.
What does that tell you?
I'm really bright.
No, but I mean, what does it tell you, just generally speaking? I mean, that everything you've heard is affecting the judgment of it. That these people are right, that it is not race, it's this telling white, the police department's too white. Well, now all the white officers are leaving. Well, guess what? It's not so easy to replace them now, is it?
No.
I don't know. This city's a mess. I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, New Hope is always up there because No Hope is always a walking disaster.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Golden Valley's they're doing their part.
Yeah.
To try to be as bad as any other city out there. I mean, you think New Hope and St. Louis Park, boy, you got competition among these top suburbs. And I'll tell you what, it's getting worse. I mean,
yeah.
You look at the council 10, 15 years ago, before Shep, and even in his first few terms, I mean, Joni Clausen you could talk to her. I talked to her a little bit.
Yeah.
Paul LePantel and a few other people who were on the council. I met Mike Freiberg when he was on the council there. Obviously a very partisan guy, but a personable guy. And it has steadily gotten more radical. It has steadily gotten more adopting every single thing that you hear being adopted in the big blue cities. They're trying to adopt there in Golden Valley too. And I just want to know, when are you people in Golden Valley going to wake up? And I'm not saying you got to, you can genuinely be concerned for the plight of minorities. You can genuinely want equal treatment for gays. I don't begrudge those things. But that doesn't mean you got to turn into this.
Right.
This
is self-destruction. And we see it in city after city after city. And people either don't care, or they haven't learned their lesson, or they think, this time it'll be different. It's never different. It's always the same. So I don't know.
I don't know, Jay. It's ugly out there. I mean, we're very close to Golden Valley, and I think you're just going to I just think it's only going to get worse.
And you might be right about that. I hope not. I hope that good people start to stand up. Good people start to run for things. Good people say, enough. I want things different where I live. I want things different for my kids and my grandkids. But, there's just a lot of self-centeredness still going on. It's where it's about me, and that's it.
Well, I want to go even a little further. I mean, Alpha News, of course, has gone a little bit further, talking about the demoralization of the Golden Valley Police Department. One email screenshot sent to Alpha News, which I don't see here, reveals that Human Resources Director Kirsten Santillas saying that public sector employees, especially public safety personnel, have a unique perspective and position in relation to the systems that uphold and perpetuate radicalized violence. Another email from Santillas describes the deaths of George Floyd and Daunte Wright racially motivated. Law enforcement addressed these emails in a private meeting, and during that meeting, the diversity and inclusion manager, Kiera Zachary, declared that any force used with a person of color, regardless of its completely justified, is considered radicalized violence.
Any force.
Members of the police department expressed confusion, telling city leaders they don't feel supported. One member of the police department said, I feel like we're going to get any kind of use of force incident. The person happened to be a person of color. Even if I did everything right, I do not feel I'm being supported. I actually feel like you guys have an implicit bias against the police, and I know I'm not alone. So again, they're complaining about toxic environment, but to me, the Golden Valley City Council's. So, I mean, what do you do then?
Yeah.
You're gonna perpetuate it and then complain about it?
Yeah, that's
That's
a way to keep yourself in business.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just again, it's the destruction from within, the everything. I'm at a point right now where I wouldn't care if every institution in this country just collapsed and was into dust.
Well, we may get to find out how that works sooner than you think.
Maybe, I don't know. I think it's just Golden Valley. You got problems, man.
Absolutely.
You got serious problems, and they want a racially blind city, yet race is involved in every single thing.
Yep.
That's just not possible.
Not possible at all. You don't erase something by emphasizing it. It doesn't work that way.
I don't know. I just think, and I'll tell you what I really fear is all these other cities falling down the same trap, because pretty much everybody is moving in this kind of a direction.
Yeah.
They all release sort of the same statements. I think they all are committed to hiring, people of color and people of indigenous backgrounds or something.
There's a reason for that. We've talked about it on this show with the Great Reset. Sorry, that may get us dinged on YouTube, but
Conspiracy theorist, liar, radical.
But they have stated, and they have worked with a lot of these companies that you see if you go on the World Economic Forum website, the insurance companies and things like that, where it hurts your ability to get insurance. It hurts your ability to have, preferred investments and things like that. If you're not facilitating these DEI programs and stuff like that, then your muni bonds might not end up in some of these BlackRock funds. That's just the nature of the beast. And a lot of muni funds are bought up, in some of these bond funds and things like that people move into towards retirement. And so if your muni bonds
I hold them myself.
Yeah, if your muni bonds aren't being purchased, right? You don't purchase the debt of the city has outstanding debt that's uncovered, then what does that do? And so everybody's scared about it, and they got to toe the line. And
or just not go into debt.
Well, that would be a novel concept.
There's always that.
Well,
we've
only been preaching that since 2008
or earlier. Yeah, no kidding. You do have some points about that I do believe people. First when I heard all that stuff, it sounds hard to believe, but
it's happening.
And so much of the world's money are controlled by so few people. They just create their own empires, and these people know no border. They know no law. They know no boundaries. They can just do anything they want to. They have their own empires.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's scary, man. It's really scary. All right, Jay.
Yeah.
Had enough of Golden Valley for one night.
I've had enough for a lifetime.
Yeah, but I mean, to be continued, because they got an election coming up. So,
yeah,
I'm going to have to talk about it again. All right. Give us some words, Jay. Styling, profiling, wheeling, dealing, jet flying, limousine riding. Give it to us.
Can't we just cover the elections in like Bovey and be done with it?
Are they odd here?
Hackensack, Bovey.
We could do that.
I don't think they're odd year. Probably.
I was
not.
up by Duluth, and I already saw yard signs up there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I know they got elections too.
Well, I know that they probably run a. In fact, I know they run a primary, so they've probably got to run that earlier, as opposed to there won't be a primary in St. Louis Park or Hopkins or any of that. So.
Ranked choice
Golden
voting.
Valley. What's that?
Ranked choice voting in some of them.
Ranked choice voting. Gotta love it.
Boo.
Or hate it. Even Duluth didn't go for that. That says something.
They rejected it by a wide margin.
Yes. There is still common sense up there, even though Emily Larson's in charge. Okay. Words of wisdom. Do I have any? You look around and everywhere you look, you see all sorts of ridiculous stuff. And it is. These are things that, to the common person, they make sense. You know, and we know this because common sense is supposed to be had by most people. And we all know you spend too much money and you default or you go into debt and you spend more money because of the interest. You know, you get rid of people in favor of only wanting certain kinds of people. All of a sudden, you mistreat the ones you had and you're short. You don't put people in jail. All of a sudden, you have crime running through your streets. You don't keep people in jail. You let them go free, and they're emboldened to do even more of it. I mean, these are things that it doesn't take a genius to figure out. These are things that we know. They're self-evident, if you will. These things we know to be self-evident. But yet we continue to vote against our own self-interest. We vote for people that are going to hurt us in the long run. Some of them are going to hurt us in the short run, too. So what do we do? How do we move forward? We all seem to agree on what the problems are. We just don't always agree on the answers. But yet I think we would all agree the government is out of control. Media is a bunch of liars. Entertainers are eating out of the hands of politicians and media, and there's no independence. There's no true voice out there that we can follow and feel confident that somebody's got our back, that somebody's running the gauntlet ahead of us. We feel alone. And so we don't speak up. There's got to be enough of us that have courage to speak up so that those that don't have courage, when they see that they're not alone, will have the freedom to speak up. That's the tipping point. That's when you win. Right now, people are fearful. Right now, people are afraid of their government. They're afraid of being shouted down in the public square. They are afraid of social media. They are afraid of being canceled. You know, we can do this so much differently. We can do this in a way where we give strength to one another just by standing up, just by saying, you know what, I am going to be counted, and I'm not going to be counted out. When we speak up, it gives courage to those who have no courage. When we speak up, when we put our head in the game and we give of ourselves, of our time, of our resources, of our money, of our knowledge, of our wisdom, of our authority and influence, when we give of those things, it puts us in a position where those who fear feel like they can win. And when they feel like they can win, the tide changes. That is the tipping point. That is what we're looking for. It's not about getting our hands on as much money as we can. It's not about just spending time with our families at the peril of our communities. You know, if we do the right thing, our children are going to learn from us what the right thing is. And we take them with us. We show them we're still spending family time together, but you're giving them a far more valuable lesson on how to stand up for what's important in life. So what do? It's important that we stand firm, that we don't show any sense of backing down in the face of danger, in the face of authoritarianism. No, we will stand. And so I just ask you to join with us. If this is moving you, if you're feeling like, you know what, I've been silent too long, or I'm sick and tired of this happening over here, I want to stop it in its tracks cold, you can do that. Get a hold of me at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. And you know what? We're building a resistance. And it's not going to be always the most comfortable thing, but sometimes we have to cast off our comfort in order to see the victory that we're looking for. Can America? We are letting you know exactly how we feel. We've done our part. And you can spread this far and wide and see who we can get before us. Who can we mobilize? Because we've done this work. For many years now, we have done this work. And right now, you've got to take what you've heard and make something happen. We love you, Minnesota, but now it's your turn.